Hey everybody, today I am reviewing a pretty new Netflix original from 2020 called Time to Hunt. Now, Time to Hunt is a South Korean movie, and I don't know if it got theatrical release or not. I'm assuming it got some theatrical release, possibly in South Korea. But as many of you probably know, South Korea has been producing a lot of really interesting content. They've been producing some good horror for quite a while. They've also produced, obviously, some great dramas with, Parasite and all that sort of thing. And it's always worth checking out some of their more major releases. So, this movie is directed by a director I've never heard of before. I'm going to apologize if I mess up any of these names. I'll do my best here. It's like Sung Hyun Yoon, and I don't know anything else he's done. I kind of looked at his filmography. It looks like the biggest release he had other than this was something called Bleak Night, which I have not seen. A couple other things on the actors in here. You've got Lee Ja-hoon. He plays one of the main characters, Jun Suk, and you've got Lee Hong An, and he plays Jung Ho. And then you've got Woo Sik Choi, who plays Ki-hoon. And Woo Sik Choi, you might have heard of before, because he's been in Parasite, and he was in Okja, and he was in Train to Busan. So some of the biggest movies for American audiences out of South Korea have featured him, and he's one of the main three characters in this story. So, what is Time to Hunt? First of all, just out of the gate, it's a pretty solid action movie, and action/heist movie, which there are not many good ones being made. There's quite a few trying to be made, but not very many good ones. And I would say this is definitely on the good side. You've got things like Ocean's 11 series. You got the excellent older movie called Rififi from France. That is probably the quintessential best heist movie of all time, in my opinion. And this movie is quite good. It's kind of three movies in one, so let's get the basic concept. You've got the three characters I mentioned to you at the beginning here. So one thing to bring up right out of the gate. There is sort of a dystopian future going on here, but it's not futuristic. Like, you don't have gadgets, you don't have robots, you don't have anything like that, spaceships. There's nothing other than it looks like it's just far enough in the future that there might have been some kind of an economic collapse, or an economic collapse is occurring. You do see, graffiti everywhere, and things are a little bit more run down than they should be. Several times they're driving by and there's protesting/rioting in the streets. Not like super violence, but definitely like rising up against, the government or the system. You can see that going on around them, but they don't really get involved in that. One really cool shot early on that kind of helps portray that reality is there's this high above their heads shot of them driving through the city, and as they're driving over this raised freeway, off to the right of them you can see other buildings off the freeway. One of them's like a raised parking lot, and you can see gunshots happening over there in the distance, and just stuff like that are nice little touches. So anyway, that's kind of the world they live in. You have the two main characters, you have two of the friends, and you kind of see them interacting, and you tell they're really good friends, and they get along well. And you can tell they're not like hardcore criminals, but you can also tell they're kind of on the edges of the law a little bit. But they don't seem cruel or mean. And really quickly, they meet up with their other friend, who is Jun Suk, who's kind of the ringleader of them. He's just coming out of prison after 3 years from some kind of a botched robbery. And that kind of leads into a pretty stereotypical story, right? Hey guys, times are bad, we have no money, wouldn't it be great to live in this like tropical, paradise? All we need is one big score, and we can get enough money and get out of here. That's kind of the concept. Once again, not original, but fine. It sets the ball rolling. So for the first third of the movie, it's kind of them figuring out how they're going to rob and do a heist on this illegal gambling casino. And they do that, and you see that happen. And it's good. It's well done. Good. The camera work, the editing, the pace of this stuff is really good, and makes you think that this director could definitely have a future. So that's kind of the first third of the movie. The second third of the movie is them trying to escape because obviously the gangster types that have run this casino, want to get them and want to get their stuff back. And that's the second third of the movie. And really, those first 2/3 of the movie are pretty great. You get some great pacing. You get some good action, some good set pieces. It doesn't seem cheap. I mean, it seems like high quality. And one thing that really sticks it all together is that these three friends have a great chemistry. And there's also an element of them, they're not pros. At any point, they're not pros. They are over their head. And they're also, like I said, they're not cruel. They're not, hardened criminals. So you have kind of a constant feeling of empathy and worry for them because you know that these guys aren't ready for what they're getting into. And there's scenes where, things are going down and they're in trouble. And I love the fact that they're just like, they're huffing and puffing and they're really scared. But they're also competent enough that they can kind of fight and kind of, worm their way out of certain situations. So the last third, possibly a little over a third, is the part where it kind of falls apart slightly. And only for me, because it starts introducing some other elements that kind of broaden the movie out a little bit, but also kind of lose a little bit of the focus that we had. And a character is introduced about halfway through, or actually maybe only about a third of the way through, named Han. And he's kind of like the enforcer / hit guy for this gang. But you got to get the feel he's kind of a loose cannon too. He's out for his own. And he's out to get him. And that's where this movie kind of takes a turn and becomes almost has a feel of like the first Terminator. I mean, he isn't a robot. He isn't from the future. He isn't, unstoppable. But he is a professional killer that knows what he's doing, and they're not. And that's kind of the situation you have for most of the rest of the movie. I won't obviously spoil what happens or where it goes. Let's just say that the ending isn't quite as satisfying or as tight as you would like, especially considering the first 2/3 of the movie. But if you're into action, heist kind of movies, and you'd like to see something done well and a little different, then I would say Time to Hunt is worth your time. It's a little long, definitely. It's about 2 hours and 15 minutes. It probably could have been an hour and 45 minutes. But they use the time mostly wisely. I mean, there's a lot of good character stuff, and you do really get to like your three core characters. They do a great job there. So I would say it's worth a look. Probably for me, it's around 3.5 stars, probably. It could have gone to 4 and 4.5 if that last third could have just been a little tighter and really stuck the landing, but it didn't quite do it. Anyway, that's all for today, and hope to talk with you all soon.